Why happiness is impossible. Schopenhauer was right. Schopenhauer Lens. You have heard somewhere in your life that the object was happiness. Perhaps it was a parent, a teacher, a graduation speech. Perhaps it was less so than that, just the accrued message of a culture that places happiness on all self-help covers, all wellness apps, all Instagram posts that conclude with the word grateful. Be happy, choose happy. Do more of that which makes you happy. And you tried. Majority of the people make genuine and sincere attempts over the years. And here you are, still looking. And still sometimes coming to those times that seem to be happiness, and seeing them melt away before you can even grasp them. Even now, on some mornings, I still wake up with that low-level buzz of not quite rightness that cannot be moved with gratitude journaling. What would you do in case the problem is not that you are doing it wrong? What then is the problem is the goal itself? Schopenhauer presented a point that the world of the present day has been trying to deny during 2 centuries. According to him, happiness in its usual sense is not something that is sustainable. It is not a place that you reach and live. It is a gap, a momentary lack of pain which followed one desire terminating and the next one beginning, a rest on a road which never really ends. And it is not that we are not making the right choices or thinking the wrong things that we are missing. The reason is that we were not created to do it. The will, the blind, the driving force that is under all human striving was not constructed to bring about happiness. It was constructed in order to create movement. Continuous, directionless, self-perpetuating motion. Go on, go on, go on to the next, nowhere, no satisfaction, no end. Happiness requires stillness. The will produces the opposite. And each time you come, near each time, you organize your existence in a way that, by any reasonable standard, ought to be sufficient that will calmly pulls to pieces whatever you have made and constructs a new hunger up there. Not out of cruelty, out of design. This is what this would look like in practice. You are not happy at all. Perhaps, nearby, perhaps life is really good in quantifiable terms, but there is something. A slight continuous irritation. An idea that 1 or 2 things, had you taken care of, would at last set you on to the real thing. Fix those things. Give it serious thought. Suppose you make them perfectly, all the outstanding issues solved, every relationship smoothed, every ambition met, every anxiety quieted, when a new friction will occur. A week, maybe 2, since the will fails to record the lack of issues as peace. It puts it on record as a vacancy, something to be filled. And it stuffs it with efficiency, with automaticity, with a new set of concerns, with a new distance between where you are and where you ought to be, with a new narrative of what remains lacking. This is not a pessimism, this is physiology. The brain is designed to scan threats rather than to relish safety, to desire, not to sleep. Any time we experience true satisfaction, it is a time when the brain considers the level of alertness to be reduced, and the brain does not like decreased alertness. Neuroscience did not help Schopenhauer understand this. He simply observed people, as well as himself, with an odd candor. And what he beheld was a species which had missed the road to the goal and was truly confused that the road should continue. Now, the easy question. Then what should we do in case happiness is not attainable? Simply embrace woe and name it wisdom. That is not as interesting as the answer of Schopenhauer, and more useful. He told me the error is not the lack of the desire to be happy. The error is the form of happiness we are sold. The settled, arrived and settled sense that we had been told about, should we make the right decisions. That version is no longer available. It never was at hand. And pursuing it brings about something more deplorable than not pursuing it. It brings about the particular pain of one who thinks he is not accomplishing something that everyone among us has figured out. What there is, what Schopenhauer believed to be truly attainable, is something more insidious and long-lasting. Not happiness, equanimity. The ability to be there in your life and not have to be anything other than it is. Not that all is well, not that the pain has disappeared. But since you have ceased to battle with the fundamental nature of your own experience, but rather began to work with it, happiness and equanimity differ not semantically. It is the distinction between an end and a discipline. Happiness is something you have or don't have. It is up to you to practice equanimity moment by moment and in an imperfect way without ever getting there completely. It does not assure that there will be no suffering. It even vows that suffering need not be the final word. His version of it was to be found in 3 places by Schopenhauer. In art, those intervals of utter absorption when the will is silent and something clear and still, comes through. In compassion, in entering into the experience of another person to the extent that you are truly in their suffering, so that you are both momentarily a unity of your own pain and theirs. It is not loss that it dissolves, it is relief, and in what he termed the renunciation of the will, not asceticism as punishment, not flagellation or deprivation, but the process of gradually and honestly realizing that much of what you are pursuing was never going to bring you what you were seeking. And the silent choice, repeated 1,000 times, to desire a little less than the will is now exacting. Not even these make us happy in the sense of the brochure. They come up with something superior, a life lived as you are and not as a show of contentment to an audience of one. I wish to say something straight. The aim of happiness, as an end, as a gauge of a full life, is among those notions which the contemporary world has bequeathed to itself in the most covertly fatal manner. Not that happiness is bad, but since it is a failure to treat it like a destination, each fine day, a day that is not extraordinary, becomes a witness that you are not doing the right thing. Each season of hardship is something to flee and not to go through. Schopenhauer would look at the contemporary wellness business, the optimization, the morning routine, the constant self-improvement, and he would realize it instantly, not as progress. This will in a new costume, still promising arrival, continues to move the finish line, continuing to turn every moment of peace into an issue that must be resolved first before the actual peace process can be initiated. The actual peace does not start in that manner. It never has. It is not the reassurance which Schopenhauer provides. He is not assuring you that all will be well. He is informing you of something better than that. He is telling you that it is not a personal failure that causes you to feel the ache that it seems you are always experiencing, the nagging feeling that something has not yet been achieved, that you have not yet reached real life, that ache. It does not mean that you made a bad choice or you believe wrong or something is fundamentally wrong with you that others got out of. It is the will, doing its job, exactly as designed. And you may see now, this being so that it no longer need be left to go unchallenged in the rest of your life. Not happiness, something better, something you can hold on to. Subscribe. Next time, I will meet you.